There comes a time in every man's life when he realizes that strength has nothing to do with muscles, volume, or domination. True strength is invisible. It doesn't roar. It doesn't announce itself. It's the quiet ability to stay centered when the world tries to drag you into chaos. And that strength must be built, not once, but daily, through habits that sharpen the mind, temper the heart, and discipline the soul. As Epictetus once said, no man is free who is not master of himself. And freedom, my brothers, begins when we train ourselves to act, not react. So here are 4 habits that forge the kind of strength no storm can break. Habit 1. Discipline over emotion, the habit of controlled reaction. Most men are slaves, not to other people but to their impulses. A single insult, and they explode. A little discomfort, and they crumble. A moment of rejection and they fall into despair. But the strong man, the man who lives by higher principles, doesn't serve his emotions. He commands them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is not poetic idealism. That's training. Daily, brutal, internal training. When a Stoic wakes, he knows he'll meet fools, liars, the arrogant and the ungrateful. He doesn't complain about it, he prepares for it. Because he understands that expecting the world to be gentle is a form of weakness. Modern psychology agrees. Neuroscientists describe the amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers emotional reaction, as primitive and impulsive. It drives us to fight, flee, or freeze. But the prefrontal cortex, the rational mind, can override it if trained. And that's where the Stoic discipline lives. In the gap between impulse and response, when you pause before reacting, when you breathe before speaking, when you decide to walk away instead of argue, you're not being passive, you're proving mastery. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And nothing is braver than restraining yourself when you could easily unleash destruction. We must learn to hold ourselves the way a warrior holds his blade, steady, calm, and precise. Not every battle deserves our swing, because the true fight is not out there, it's within. Discipline over emotion, that's the first habit of a strong man. The one who rules himself cannot be ruled by anyone. Habit 2. Embrace voluntary discomfort, the habit of training the soul through pain. Comfort is the silent killer of men. It lulls us into softness, weakens our edge, and blinds us to our potential. Stoic teachers, long before modern psychology, knew that voluntary hardship is the key to inner power. Seneca practiced sleeping on the floor, eating simple meals and going without luxuries, saying, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest fare, with coarse and rough dress," saying to yourself, "Is this the condition I feared?" What he was doing wasn't asceticism, it was liberation. He was training his mind to stop fearing discomfort. When you choose discomfort, you rob fear of its weapon. When you choose struggle, pain no longer surprises you. It strengthens you. Modern behavioral science calls this stress inoculation, exposing yourself to controlled adversity to become resilient. Cold showers, fasting, endurance training, meditation in silence, these aren't trends, they're tools of transformation. When you wake up early while your body begs for rest, when you push through the workout while your mind screams to quit, when you stay disciplined while no one's watching, you're teaching your brain one thing: we do not bow to weakness. The Stoics believed that fortune tests men not to break them, but to reveal them. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Pain, when endured consciously, becomes a mirror. It shows you who you really are, not the version you display to others, but the raw, unguarded one that lives beneath the surface. We've been raised to avoid pain, but in avoiding pain, we avoid growth. We avoid the call to become something more. So embrace discomfort. Seek the cold, the silence, the challenge, not because you love suffering, but because you love what it forges within you. That's what makes a man strong, not muscles, not dominance, but the courage to walk toward the fire instead of away from it. Habit 3. Detachment from validation, the habit of needing nothing from anyone. One of the most powerful and least understood forms of strength is detachment. Not coldness, not indifference, but a calm independence from the need to be seen, praised, or validated. The weak man lives off attention. He breathes only when someone approves of him. He performs for applause, tailors his words to fit the crowd, and changes his morals to stay liked. But the strong man, the Stoic man, learns to live like a mountain, unmoved by the winds of opinion, unshaken by the storms of judgment, rooted deeply in his own principles. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That is the essence of detachment. The ability to walk through the world with the quiet strength of someone who no longer needs permission to exist. We live in a time where every opinion seeks validation, where silence is misread as weakness, and where men trade their dignity for digital approval. But the Stoic teaches us something radically different. Validation from others is borrowed strength. It fades. It deceives. True strength must come from within. When we detach from the need to be understood, liked, or admired, we finally discover what real confidence feels like. It's not loud, it's not performative. It's the peace that comes from knowing that our worth isn't up for negotiation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what others say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." In that single line, he exposed the trap most men fall into. The moment we anchor our happiness to others' opinions, we hand over our power. We become prisoners of perception. Detachment is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's knowing that what others think of us is not our concern, because our duty is to act with integrity, not approval. Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Studies show that people who define their self-worth internally from their values and actions are more resilient, calm, and grounded under stress. They act from strength, not reaction. To become truly attractive, not just in appearance but in presence, you must train yourself to need nothing. No flattery, no reassurance, no audience. Because the man who needs nothing cannot be manipulated. He cannot be emotionally blackmailed, provoked, or swayed. He stands as a force of nature, centered, focused, free. And that is rare power. When we master this detachment, we stop chasing approval and start radiating self-respect. People can feel it in the way we move, speak, and exist. There's a gravity in calm men. The kind who don't compete for attention but command it naturally through their silence, focus, and stability. Seneca said, "He who seeks wisdom should not seek applause. He who loves truth should not fear offense." That is the paradox of strength. When you no longer need the world to approve of you, it begins to respect you. So the third habit of a strong man is this: detach from the need for validation. Build yourself so quietly, so completely, that others' opinions become whispers in the distance, because the man who no longer chases attention becomes the man everyone notices. Habit 4. Emotional mastery. The power of calm in the midst of chaos. There is no greater display of strength than calmness in moments where most men lose control. It's easy to appear composed when life is gentle, but true fortitude reveals itself when the world tries to provoke the storm within you. A strong man does not allow anger to dictate his words, nor fear to command his steps. He moves with purpose, not impulse. He understands, as Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That sentence holds the entire foundation of emotional mastery. The realization that our inner world is our only domain. Weak men believe they are victims of circumstance. They blame the weather, the people, the traffic, the economy, the universe itself, everything except their own reactions. But the man who has disciplined his emotions knows that every situation, no matter how cruel, is an opportunity to train the soul, to sharpen the blade of reason against the grindstone of chaos. Epictetus taught this in his discourses. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you absorb that truth deeply, life transforms. Insults lose their power. Failure becomes fuel. Disrespect becomes data. Everything that once triggered you now teaches you. This is what separates the truly strong from the rest. The ability to respond instead of react. To remain unbroken even when the world tries to bend you. We live in an age where emotional control is rare. Society glorifies outrage, celebrates impulsiveness, and rewards the loudest voice in the room. Yet, strength has never been found in shouting. It's found in the man who stays composed while everyone else is losing their minds. Calmness is not weakness, it's restraint. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that no one, no insult, no betrayal, no loss can rob you of your inner balance. It's the understanding that your emotions are servants, not masters. A Stoic man understands that emotion itself isn't evil. It's the attachment to emotion that destroys us. Anger can be useful when directed by discipline. Fear can be powerful when guided by logic. Even pain can be transformative when faced with courage. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Emotional mastery isn't built in comfort, it's forged in the fires of adversity. Every setback, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment of chaos is a test. A silent invitation to rise above what seeks to pull us down. And when we pass that test, when we choose calmness over chaos, patience over rage, silence over retaliation, we become untouchable. There's something magnetic about a man who cannot be easily disturbed. He walks into a room and people sense it immediately. A stillness, a gravity, a quiet kind of power. He doesn't need to prove his dominance. His energy speaks for him. Psychology confirms what Stoicism taught centuries ago. Emotional regulation is the foundation of charisma, leadership, and trust. People instinctively respect those who remain composed under pressure. It signals maturity, confidence, and control, qualities that can't be faked. But emotional mastery is not just about holding back. It's about understanding. It's about taking the time to feel deeply, to study the roots of anger, the triggers of anxiety, the nature of fear, and transforming them into wisdom. The more we understand our emotions, the less they control us. We begin to live in the present, no longer trapped in old wounds, no longer haunted by the ghosts of the past or the illusions of the future. We move through life with calm intensity, the kind that comes from facing everything and breaking nothing. When you master your emotions, you master time. You stop wasting days reacting to what doesn't matter. You stop giving power to what doesn't deserve it. And slowly the noise fades, the world quiets, and all that's left is focus, purpose, and unshakable strength. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That is the essence of emotional mastery, the freedom to revoke your suffering at will. So, cultivate calmness, guard your peace. Let your emotions serve you, not enslave you. For in a world addicted to reaction, the man who stays calm becomes a mystery. And that mystery is power, because nothing is more attractive than a man who feels everything deeply, yet remains unmoved.